Hey there everybody, Pop on Top here. Welcome back to some more Fallout 4 mods. In today's mod, we got the weapon currently equipped in my character's hands here. This is the Infiltrator SMG by Degenerate deck. And this weapon shoots very fast. It's an SMG, but it looks like an SMG. It looks nice. It's got, so the magazine is that top rotational part, so it's got a rotational magazine. Now, these haven't caught on too much in real life because, you know, they have a high chance of failure, but it also makes this thing spit out bullets. And then it's obviously your own unique custom animation. We put it away, we pull it out. All pretty default put away and pull out animations. We'll take a look at the weapon in the inspect feature here. Right, little compact SMG, got a nice hand guard there. This is all custom texture work and stuff, right? It almost looks like a pistol base that you've mounted a helical magazine on the top to feed bullets with. It shoots by default to .38 ammo, only does 27 damage, which is not very much, and that's intentional because of the rapid rate of fire. This is weapon designed to shoot a lot of bullets, not do a lot of damage with those bullets. It's damage over time kind of weapon, DPS type of weapon, I guess, right? Damage per second. So you can't craft this weapon at the chemistry station. Doesn't exist. I just want to mention that here, like showing it off. Just go here by default. That would be nice. I found it at a weapon salesman here. I got Sheffield here.
I'm looking for weapons.
He works for me. Here at my settlement, add a thing. There was 3 of them here. I obviously already bought one. There was 2 more here. So I imagine you find them on other weapon vendors and stuff, right? You know, Arturo and Diamond City, so on and so forth. You could find them on gunners and raiders once you reach a certain level, right? So let's take the weapon to the weapon workbench, though. Let's take a look at what we can do with the weapon to improve it, because obviously we start at higher standard. Obviously we want to go advanced. I really like this system of receivers. It is literally as your, well, sort of, as your perks go up, like this hardened receiver should be gun nut 1, then gun nut 2, then gun nut 3, right? That's how I think that should work, right? But we'll obviously go advanced. Just receivers increase damage, right? So we could put a muzzle brake on their compensator, an extended barrel to increase the range, which is a nice option too, because it's not, most base game weapons have a muzzle brake compensator, different kinds of recoil control, right? And at the cost of, usually some range, but gained accuracy. And then suppressor. And the suppressor actually increases range rather than decreasing range like some weapons do, and increases accuracy. We have an extremely high accuracy set here of 147, even by default 146, right? The barrel extender can increase that a little bit as well, and we can increase the range of that. Like, even with no muzzle, this should be extremely good in VATS. So, we have no stock on there if you just want to make the weapon really light. I mean, it does make it light. It's already 4.3 pounds. We mentioned when we inspected the weapon that the weapon looked quite small, right? But like we can collapse the stock, no stock it, make it very small. Obviously you want the full stock though. This gun does have some recoil. We didn't quite show it off in the beginning. The iron sights here are quite nice, so I'm interested to see what glow sights look like. We'll look at a couple other different options of scopes here just to see. Olive coating, obviously that's the green color of the weapon. We can make it black. You can make it tan. The tan looks very olive still. It's not that far off. It is lighter green, but it's more green than tan, I would say. And then you can make it wood. So let's make the weapon wood, because why not? It does make the weapon heavier, though? Okay. I mean, like that, so you obviously should never actually put the wood frame on there, but you can. So this is standard full metal jacket rounds, but you can put hollow point on there to do more damage per bullet. Armor piercing rounds, which I think is actually more important. Frangible, you can add bleeding. And then rat shot, which is multiple projectiles, increase damage, reduce range. We get down to 98 range, we're doing more damage. We're just going to shoot like a shotgun then, right? Or it's going to have some spread to it. So this is the glow sights, very clean. These default iron sights, especially the glow sights, because it's for nighttime and stuff. That's dumb. That's a lot of damage. We've come to do a lot of damage. You see how many projectiles are flying out of that weapon with that rapid rate of fire? That is absolutely crazy. This is obviously the way we're going to test the weapon. I do want to show off some more things. Obviously, you probably, like I said, don't want to go wood frame. You want to go like, black coating or something, because all you're doing is gaining weight. I don't think it does anything for you. It doesn't, increase accuracy or whatever. You could make the choice that maybe you don't want the recoil control or sighted accuracy. You're just going to hit fire the thing, especially when you got that big spread there. You can go no stock. We'll show that off too. Let's put the reflex sight on there. We're going to take a look at a couple of these scopes, right? Degenerate deck is pretty good about usually having similar scopes. The reflex sight is fine. There's a dot. You aim at the dot. But when you got such a nice circular iron sight, that's almost preferable. Obviously, the hip fire here. We're going to show here. The recoil is crazy, especially with no stock on here, right? But I mean, that's 80 rounds, I guess, technically, because it's still technically shooting the .38 bullets, right? Like that's what it's doing. I've like lost the weapon. There it is. It's still like 1.38 bullet per shot, but those shots are spreading out into many tinier shots and probably doing a lot of damage. We're gonna show that off later, obviously. But you can do different things to this too. Like if you do want to make this weapon, you know, you can't make it semi-auto. The whole intention here is the fire rate, right? But like if you want to make this weapon like a longer range weapon, you can obviously put that barrel extender on there. We could show off how you would want to put like a short scope even on there, right? You'd want to put the stock on there because you want that recoil control because you're going to use it at range. And the longer range, the more recoil control you need, right? To keep this on target, right? If you could fire a nice mean-ass burst of shot into people, that's going to do a lot of damage. Now, the thing is here, I knew this was going to happen too. As soon as you put something, the scope this long, it clips. Right, the helical magazine coming off the top, the scope hasn't compensated for that, right? By like you'd want to side mount the scope, right? So that way you could still move your magazine. I don't know how this obviously isn't operating because you're putting the magazine, the helical magazine through the scope, right? So obviously that doesn't quite work, but you can use it, right? And you can have to do it like this. You just gotta have to deal with the fact that that's gonna clip. Obviously there's ways to get around that, but like I'm not judging anybody or any effort put forward on this. It's just is the deal. We also have a laser sight, which is another good option for aiming the weapon because this is not like a gun I would really expect to use at long range, but you could just aim to a dot. Just keep the dot on people and watch them die. That might, like I said, like it's almost like an aimed hip fire type of reticle, right? Like you aim with hip fire, get perfect accuracy, almost with the laser sight, and I think that's a really really good sight attachment that more guns should have because I just love that option, right? As a thing. That rash shot's the best. I mean, obviously you could do bleeding damage. You could do all the armor piercing, which is also pretty good. I think this rash shot's going to turn out to be just absolutely it. And it's a really cheap modification, right? It only requires gun nut 2. And it doesn't require any kind of, you know, actual materials to craft any of these. You can change the ammunition type pretty much at any time, right? So, we're also going to make the weapon suppressed just because I want to hear what it sounds like suppressed, right? As a comparison. I did want to show off, I guess, the one more scope we got here, the combat scope. We'll take a look at that. We'll see if that one also gets in the way of the helical magazine. So that's an ugly scope though. This is bad. This is just like, look how much. Think about your full screen aiming down the sight as you know. The whole screen is 100% of your screen. How much percent of the screen does the scope take up? Too much, if you ask me with this particular one. I mean, it's still pretty loud just because of the volume of fire. It's like there's like a stacking reverb effect almost of it, right? But it is suppressed and quiet, and you could technically absolutely be sneaky with that. You are going to lose some range, right? But I don't know if it's going to be a huge deal. I'm going, like, my particular build, this is obviously always my preference and stuff here. I'd obviously go advanced receiver. I would go barrel extender, because I don't think you necessarily need it to be suppressed, but if you want to play that way, you can. But, you know, if you're not playing suppressed, barrel extension is the way to go on this. I'd still put the full stock on there. You want that recoil control. I would go laser sight on here. I'd probably go black coating. I don't like the color too much coating or whatever. And obviously wood frame is just a disadvantage. I mean, I'm going to put it on because I just like the color, you know, or like the look of a wooden weapon. That's just kind of cool. And I put rash shot on there. I think that would be the way to go. We have 163 fire rate, 163 range, and 150 accuracy. Like, that's crazy. Like, 95s. Obviously, I have a very high perception character as well. I don't think perception actually affects your ability. But, like, we're starting to get a little bit sketchy here, but I'm still going to hit those at that range, right? Like, and this is an SMG, a full auto SMG that's kind of stretching out the range you want to do it. When you're in your range, you're hitting your shots. Like, that's a pretty good range. I have pretty much, you know, 90s across the board, right? High chance to hit shots. If you're like anything within like actual like SMG range, perfect chance to hit headshot, right? You could do all that kind of things. We're gonna go test the weapon out in some combat though. I'm gonna see how this fire rate does with still relatively low damage, but with this rat shot of multiple projectiles, we'll see how well this, you know, tears through enemies. And I'll see you guys when we get there. Alright everybody, pulling up here, Zombies Arena Arcade mode, as we do, right? This is my favorite mod for just testing out weapons, because it's just, you know, I can spawn enemies in directly to fight me. Let's go to the USAF satellite station Olivia today, because why not? We're here. I don't know why things are making noises as I kind of spawn in here. That was weird, but whatever. Let's spawn in some raiders. Something with some armor resistance, but not maybe too much. And then we'll see how the weapon does. I intend to, you know, do that a lot. And that's what how I feel like the weapon's gonna be. I mean, that was technically seven rounds, but you know, remember, .38 ammunition, fairly common, fairly cheap, fairly light if you're even talking about survival mode, and you just tear through people with it. It doesn't really actually require 7. That was 6. And like, look at the stagger on that, right? Because obviously, because it's an automatic weapon, I want to mention this as a thing and put these things together. We get commando, right? And commando makes automatic weapons have a greater chance to stagger, right? So with the amount of shot we're putting out here with this particular thing, the stagger should be insane, right? Like, and I haven't reloaded yet because I don't need to reload, right? It's got a huge 80-round magazine. This is one weapon that doesn't need an extended mag, doesn't need a fast mag. Just plenty of bullets as it is anyway. That's that whole way. So we're gonna reload the thing finally, because we're not in danger. We're gonna do a third-person wave. We'll do some VAT shots on deck. We just want to make sure the weapon functions in third person. One thing I did want to mention real quick is I was really thinking that this weapon was going to have that, see, like this at the front of the weapon, right? It looks like there's a folding grip. Like you could pull that grip out, and you could, like, that would be an attachment that you could have. Obviously, you'd have to, you know, design around the character holding the front grip, but that would, you know, obviously help you control some recoil with the weapon or whatever. But I haven't really had to deal with too much recoil. We're just, even though it's a rapid rate, you know, we saw some recoil when we were shooting off a full 80-round mag. You never have to shoot that much at one time. Like, I think even if you were like fighting the toughest stuff in the game, this thing is going to just pierce right through it, and then you get, you know, the stagger and everything. You really get them locked up. Like 3, 1 headshot burst. My game crashed. My bad, I guess. I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, everybody, we're back. I gotta quickly fix my camera. I had to reload the game, obviously, so I have to reapply my camera animations. So this should be us between waves now. Yeah, the next wave should be starting. I've had an issue with that. I think normally it just happens in my zombies in arcade mode here, but sometimes I use VATs and then with certain modded weapons, and it's just completely, you know, been crashing the game a little bit. We can definitely show off some third-person shooting. Obviously, this thing is absolutely ripping through people, though. I really do like this gun a lot, and I do think it's a my game issue on why it's crashing in VATs. Huh? That's it. That's all you hear. Remember, could you imagine if your last order was "huh"? That was the last thing you said in your whole life, and then you got absolutely torn to pieces with this rash shot. You in the picture? Just kind of spray and pray as I'm going by. It's so fun. Obviously, we're gonna look at the reload in the third person here, so we can show off that works. We're going to see. I mean, there's got to be somebody left, right? I didn't hear no beep. I ain't no bell. Somebody's still left. We're gonna try to do a VAT shots again, and if the game crashes again, it crashes again. That worked fine. But like absolutely shredded, bloody mess. Obviously proc there, but you know it's gonna proc a lot because you're technically hitting them with a lot of bullets. So you know my game can be a little bit buggy sometimes. I wouldn't necessarily count on that as it being an aspect of the weapon necessarily, but you know, Fallout's a buggy game, so probably it could be buggy for you too, right? Like it's just how it goes. This is welcome to my life. Welcome to the things I've been dealing with, you know, for however many years I've been doing this, right? It's not like Fallout 4 has gotten really more buggy over time, but it hasn't really got less buggy either. That's just the deal. But this Infiltrator SMG by Degenerate, this weapon is wonderful. Very cool. Nice texture quality. I like the wood grain, even though it just makes the weapon heavier. I like the helical magazine design. I like the really rapid rate of fire. I like the laser sight here. I don't like some of the scopes, but you know, I'm not a big scope person anyway. I think the iron sights are really clean, and I think that matters the most to me anyway. I think it's very accurate in VATs. I think it has cool ammunition types. Right, I like the way that it separates the receivers from that. It's not like a full auto receiver, or not like a full auto armor piercing receiver, and then like an advanced receiver where you have to be like, oh, semi-auto mortis damage per bullet. You can do advanced receiver, maximize the damage, and then put whatever you want on there. Look, we got the idle animation and stuff too. You clap that and make the magazine get back in there. Don't fucking fall out. But it's a cool gun. It's a really cool gun, and I highly recommend you guys check out this one for yourselves. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you guys want to check out the Infiltrator SMG by Degenerate for yourself, make sure to check out the top link in the description. There'll be a link there to the Bethesda.net page and the Nexus mod page, so you can download this mod for yourselves there. If you guys have enjoyed the video, like the video. If you guys are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe, that we can check out more videos from me. And pretty much other than that, you guys have a good rest of your day, whatever it may be, and I will see you in the next episode.